And we are back from break on this first transmission of December 2001 on the InfoWars Nightly News. We're joined now by two filmmakers producing The Great Culling. It is a follow-up to What in the World Are They Spraying? Great film on the geoengineering and chemtrail phenomenon. We have it here at the InfoWars store. That is director Paul Wittenberger, and he is joined by first-time filmmaker, right, Chris Maple?
That's right.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course. So tell us about the previous film and how it led to the new project.
Well, we finished up What in the World Are They Spraying last year around this time, and we started with this new film, The Great Culling, immediately after. So it's going great. We're just finished up shooting the rest of the interviews, and we're going to go into post and finish this up real quick.
What got us really going into The Great Culling, we did once What in the World Are They Spraying was completed. We kept hearing these the resonation of heavy metal contamination in the air, and we were doing research with the water as well and the fluoride. And again, we keep hearing these. The aluminum kept resonating, and it's what got us going with The Great Culling. Because with The Great Culling, in addition to the air, we're also looking at the water as well as the food. So our three essential, life-supporting, components. And so in addition to that, we wanted to focus on the neurological disorders and how they relate to these heavy metal contaminations that are going on today.
Certainly. And you're covering stuff like fluoride, you're covering all the stuff in the vaccines, and really kind of the modern way of life where cancer is almost an expectation or a one out of several kind of deal. And so what are you guys finding? Are there important tie-ins with political dimensions? Does it relate back to this geoengineering plan you've covered so extensively?
I mean, politics does play a role, what we're learning, because at first we weren't completely sure whether or not, this is a big accident or whether there's some design involved here, and that's one thing that we wanted to uncover. And we have. We're finding the deeper we go down the rabbit hole that, there is deceit that is taking place. As far as the, you mentioned vaccinations, that was what really got us going. Mm-hmm. Personally, myself, it was seeing these children who are being injured. I believe back in 1983, it was when the vaccination schedule went from 10 to 36. I believe it's now 60-something that the kids are taking. And it wasn't until 1986 that the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act was put into place. And what bothered me the most with that act was that it didn't look at the injured. What it did was protect the manufacturers. So there you have that, corporation is being looked after prior to the people. It wasn't until 1988 that the actual vaccine injury compensation program was created, where they actually started looking at the injured and compensating them. So, and that right there, just, if you look at the timelines from 83 to 86, it's a 3-year period. I mean, when they increased the schedule. A perfect amount of time to see what's taking place with these 36 new shots as far as children now showing up on the autistic spectrum. So, and like I said, what bothered me the most was that they went after protecting the corporations, the manufacturers, prior to looking at the injured. So it was that fuel that really kind of got me up. And I've always been that kind of person who finds myself sticking up for other people, people. Yeah. Sometimes people I don't even know, I can't stand bullies or, that sort of things. I found myself throughout my life fighting battles that weren't even mine, just for people who weren't able to fight them themselves, and here we are today.
Yeah. So the film is called The Great Culling. We just were able to witness behind the scenes. You talked to Alex Jones. Of course, having worked with him on Endgame, I know he's coming from the eugenics angle. And what really gets me there is stuff like the Gates Foundation and all their overlays. There's questions about GMO foods. They're backing it. There's questions about geoengineering. What are they spraying? Gates Foundation is part of it. They're pushing vaccinations worldwide. Does it all begin to coalesce into a larger plan, or where exactly do you think this is going?
I think it's a mass culling. I mean, personally, I don't believe that it has anything to do with weather modification. I don't believe in climate control. Personally, I just, as we're learning, as they're blanketing, the landscape and the air above us, of course it's coming down on us eventually because it's evident in the pH levels in the soils. You have companies like Monsanto, as you know, who are already patented aluminum-resistant seeds. Personally, I think it's much more sinister than just cooling the planet, because as we're learning, it's not cooling the planet. It's having a inverse effect. It's actually heating the planet up with the aerosols.
I mean, it really is a huge topic, and so I think it's important to cover these different issues like vaccines and chemtrails and fluoride, and,
GMOs, right?
Yeah, and just wake the people up, because it's such an important thing that people know.
Somebody needs to do it.
Yeah.
And with the help, with the hope with this film is that personally, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a photographer. Paul's the filmmaker. He's a dear friend of mine. I've known him for quite some time. I worked, a little with him behind the scenes. I went in the world as far as with edits and making suggestions and that sort of thing. And it's just a matter of awareness, raising the conscious level of society, right? And I think, I'm a pretty good example of somebody like saying enough's enough. Like I feel now compelled, I got to do something. Not everybody has to go out and make a documentary film either. I just think pushing the knowledge, having people get out there, do the research for themselves, and once they can just become aware of it, because a lot of folks will say, well, what can one man do? What am I going to do, Chris? Like, what do you think you're going to do? And what I'll say to them is, look, it's not a matter of going out and doing something. You do need to get off your butt, do a little research. Don't just regurgitate, what mainstream media is.
Everybody does, but that's what's great about the internet age. You can make a film very cheaply, or you could do a blog for free and get the word out. And the information's out there too. You just have to discover it and put it together and try to understand what's going on. So let's highlight some of the hard information we're going to get into in this film. I know it's still under production and probably still developing as well, but tell us a little more.
Well, we've met with a wide range of folks. We've met with former Senator Karen Johnson and over in Arizona, right? And she was great. She one thing that she opened our eyes to is when she was in office. She said that it only took between 5 and 7 people calling in to her office, making a stink about something, to raise awareness within her office. If they got 5 to 7 phone calls on an issue, that was priority of the day.
Sure.
So, and that really made me step back and say, wow, I mean, you really don't need 1 million people marching in the street. It was just a simple 5 people making phone calls to their local, legislator and making a complaint or a suggestion or something of that nature. So that was an eye-opener for us to realize that, wow, there might be some hope as far as awareness. Also, what do we have? Dr. Rima Labau. She is down in Panama City, the Highlands of Panama right now, and she gave us a great interview. And it's kind of where we got the title of the film was a phrase that she had stated on an interview that she had done with Jesse Ventura. I believe his show, The Conspiracy Theory.
Conspiracy Theory.
Right, exactly. And she said, one of her patients at the time was a head of state. She had mentioned, be prepared for the Great Culling. It's about to begin. Yeah. And Dr. Labau was, what do you mean, the Great Culling? And she eventually got herself out of America. But Clifford Carnicom, we talked with him as well. He went over contrail science with us, how contrails formed, what's the difference between these aerosols that we're seeing, and what is a true contrail. That's something that we're trying to focus on as well, because it doesn't take much for people to go outside and just take a mental observation on a daily basis, just to take a peek up and look what's going on above your head. Start, realizing that, why does this one have a tail? Why is this one not? What's different today than yesterday? Where are all these planes today? They were spraying yesterday. There's nothing up there today. So he shed some light there. Paul Connett, Dr. Connett, again. He's a huge fluoride, anti-fluoride promoter. He enlightened us as far as...
We'll get into why fluoride is so important as an issue.
Why it's important?
Yeah.
Why is it so bad, or why is it so important?
Well, I mean, what are you exploring in the film specifically?
With the fluoride, what we're learning is through the fluoride, what it's doing is it's wearing down the myelin sheath, which is the fatty insulation that surrounds all our nerve endings. So we are having electrical short outs with the fluoride and the aluminum. All these metals are wearing down the myelin sheath within our body. And as you know, on the atomic level, we're energy, we're vibrating. This is kind of where the film kind of got a lot of its, its fuel from is the energy sources that we're surrounded by energy. And as you know, Nikola Tesla, had figured that out at the turn of the 20th century. Mm-hmm. And not only are we surrounded, but we're made up of it. And when you have a thought to wiggle your toes or speak, it's an electrical current, and it doesn't just stay within your body; it actually escapes throughout the universe. And what better way to shut down those currents and disrupt them than with metals? And that was our hunch all along. And the more and more we dig down this hole and speak with all these these PhDs and dentists and that sort of thing, they're like, yeah, you're right on the mark. It is wearing down the myelin sheath. Our short, we're basically shorting out.
Well, that's what others have called dumbing us down.
Perfect. Yeah. So. And with the fluoride, as you mentioned, and I tell people all the time, I say, well, if this stuff doesn't bother you, then you can thank your fluoride for that, because it does make you complacent.
And it's like the GMO studies. The studies show it causes organ failure, sterility, but they won't label it. So there's that deniability factor, no tracing. You can't prove that's what caused your problems. And so it's a soft kill, kind of, it hits everyone and a kind of scattershot. Yeah.
And a lot of people, are concerned with, well, heck, I don't drink tap water. I drink this bottled water right here. I don't drink tap water. A lot of people these days say, I don't drink tap water. I don't even drink it. But are you bathing in it? Our skin is one of the biggest organs that we have. It's going to absorb it. Are you watering your garden with fluoride-free water, or is it
cooking with it, or buying food that was cooked with it?
You cook it
it's
ready.
In everything.
It's in everything.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, your orange juice, your milk, your beer. I mean, anything with water, is going to have the fluoride. You just can't get away from it. We thought that possibly through distillation we were able to remove it, but it doesn't. There's still small amounts of traces. Paul and I took the liberty of testing all the as many as we could, right? The bottled water industry, we targeted that, and everything we tested had traces of fluoride in it, some higher than the tap water.
Well, obviously there's a lot going on. We're very interested to see how the film develops, and you're still taking influence and support for the film. Tell them about the website.
Yeah, the website is thegreatculling.org, and folks can get on the website, take a look around. We've put a lot of information up there. We have some stills, and we're looking for support as well. We kind of want to wrap this thing up. We anticipated December, but we're just a two-man show, and we have other jobs that we need to do to try to fund this thing on our own. Yep. And so I think now we're kind of pushing it to March, right? Right?
Yeah, and so right now we're just really giving a call out to get people in to help us, and so we can get this thing done and out to the public.
Yeah. And it's worth doing. The last film, I know, woke up a lot of people, got them to focus on the issue and say, well, there's credible reason for these questions, and I think it's awakening a lot of people who haven't studied it in depth, but have kind of heard about it in passing, and hopefully this film will do a lot of the same thing. The Great Culling, coming soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
great.
Thanks for joining us, guys, and good luck. And that's it for tonight's InfoWars Nightly News. Don't forget about our Christmas specials for PrisonPlanet.tv. You can get a heavily discounted membership or the membership with the 18 DVDs, Alex Jones films, you can give to friends and family in the holiday season. Check it out on InfoWars.com or get a Prison Planet membership. Support this broadcast and share it with 5 other friends as well. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.